and welcome to another Everybody's Golf video. And today what we want to talk about is a very important subject, and how to aim. Now a lot of you that are new to golf games are going to want to know how do you aim? I mean, why are my shots going absolutely nowhere near the hole? Well, I'm hoping to explain that to you today, and I'm going to let you know how to set up the conditions in which I'm going to set this up. So let's get straight to it and into the game. So what you want to do straight away is set multiplayer, and you can do this from the start. You do not need a maxed out golfer. You can set this in the settings. You're going to do a stroke player, you're going to do one player, you're going to do 9-hole out because you have that course unlocked straight away. We're going to do the very basic settings. Don't need to set anything different. We're going to do standard and standards, character progress rate high, and this is very important to set your shots up. Is what you want to do before you go to course, okay, is you want to go to EG rules settings, and you want to go to auto perfect impact and no wind. Okay, now this is going to set this. So what I'm going to do is going to tell you the basics of everything with no wind whatsoever. So once you have the basic understanding of everything, we're going to go on to the next one. I'm going to go to with wind. I'm going to try and explain on how the wind affects each shot. So I'm going to go to the course right now, and I'm going to demonstrate how this works. Now I'm not going to do any fancy shots here. That will be explained in another video. I'm also not going to explain how sway works. That will also be explained in another video. So basically what I want to try and explain in this video is I'm going to do 2 holes, and I'm going to 3 holes, I think, and I'm going to try and explain as best as I can how you set up each shot. Okay, so I'm going to try and go through explain the thinking process with you. Okay, now you can set auto and touch up perfect, because at the end of the day, if you do not set perfect impact up, then you know you're going to go astray. But this is a perfect way to learn the game. Okay, I cannot demonstrate, I cannot stress this enough. This is a perfect way to learn the game. Okay, so first of all, what we want to do is we need to aim our shot. Now, this is a 0 wind, so we're not going to worry about the wind too much. And how do I know it's a 0 wind? Well, in the top right hand corner, it says 0.0. Now, I know a lot of people will be thinking, well, why is he saying that? Well, you got to realise there's a lot of people that don't understand that, you know. So we're just not going to factor into the wind at all, because at the end of the day there's no wind. So first of all, we're going to use up directional buttons and down directional buttons to change the camera. You can also change the direction by using the left and right directional buttons, and you can move the camera forward by using the triangle button. You can also move the camera back by using the circle button, and this is the best way for you to line up your shot. In order to reset at any time, you can press the X button and it will go back to your shot. Now you must realise, if you ever accidentally press the X button like I've just done, as long as you do not determine power, it will reset back to normal. So no fear, if you press it accidentally, just don't press another button. Okay, so there's a number of factors we need to take into account here. Okay, now if you've watched one of my videos with the putting, you will know that a blue is downhill and up is uphill. So this, first of all, straight away, it's going to be around a bit, depending on where the flag is, okay? it's going to be around about in the middle on the top of your screen, and for this instance it says 1.4 yards. Now I have a 280 yard club. How do I know that? It's because it says 1, it says 280 yards in the middle of your screen, and it also says 280 yards in the bottom left hand corner. Okay, so it also says 304 yards to the hole. So this is basically how much it should end up with perfect conditions, perfectly flat line. But I know this is not going to end up 280 yards. Why if you ask that? Well, first of all, you take into account the fact it's downhill. So not much downhill. It's going to take about 1 yard downhill. So it's going to be approximately going to go 281 yards. So we're just going to take this shot. We're going to hit the 280 yards. Now, because it's a 1 wood, it's probably going to travel a little bit further than what it says. So we're just going to hit this. I'm going to hit it 100%, and it's going to go dead, absolutely dead straight down the fairway. And we're going to explain the next shot coming up. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so the next thing you've got to realise is there's a number of factors you need to take into account. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at the power gauge. We have a 60 yard club in our hands. It is 36.8 yards to the hole. How do I know that? It says it on the bottom left of the screen. It's only 0.2 downhill. It says that on the top of your screen, and on the bottom right hand corner it also says your lie. Okay, so first of all, the flag. It is 36.8 yards to the hole. On your power gauge it tells you exactly where 36.8 yards is, but you've got to remember that does not determine your lie, the wind and the elevation. So the elevation is the top number in your screen. The wind is the top right hand corner, but of course we don't have any wind in this instance. And the lie, which of course is in the bottom right hand corner. So in ideal conditions, if it was a flat lie with flat elevation and with flat with no wind, if you hit it perfectly dead straight at that flag stick with that amount of power, it will go in perfect circumstances. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a little bit of this, and it's a perfectly flat green, probably going slightly to the right, so we're going to move this ever so slightly to the left. Okay, but also if you look at the bottom right of the screen, you'll see a picture of the golf ball, and you will also see it is moving. It is on a slope, it's not moving, but it is on a slope to the left hand side, which means when you hit this ball it is going to move to the left. So we've moved it to the left already, but because it's going to move left, we need to move it back in the middle. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're compensating for the fact it's going to move to the left. Okay, now it's not going to move that much because of the downhill, because of the wind. So all we're going to do now is we're going to aim this 100. We're going to aim this at the flag stick because there's no other factors to consider in this situation. Now this was probably a bit short because it was short of the flag, and but that's basically how that works. If you want demonstrations on putting, please check out my other video on how to putt like a pro. I will not be demonstrating on how to putt on this video. I will only be just demonstrating the approach shot. Okay, so now we're going to be moving to the second hole, and this will be the last hole which I demonstrate this on. So in order to change your club, we're going to be pressing the R1 button, and we're going to be probably just changing this. I'm going to try and demonstrate about 100 yard shot right here. So we're going to demonstrate, put this in the middle of the fairway because there's no wind. It's 2.3 yards downhill, so this isn't going to affect it that much. We are 98 to 100% live tee, so we're going to aim this about here, and then we're going to hit it, and it's going to end up probably slightly longer than 169. Why are you asking? Well, why does it say 169 if it says 170? That I don't know. Please comment in the video below. Please comment below if anyone knows why it says 170, because I do not know, and I've had this game since its release. I've no idea. But anyway, so this is going to go slightly longer than 169 because of the downhill. But now, probably because I've hit 98, it probably will end up about 169. Okay, so as I say, it ended up around about 169. Okay, alright, so now we're going to take this into account. Alright, so it's uphill point. We're going to uphill point 5. So this is perfect situation for this. Okay, so first of all, why am I moving it lefty say? Well, once again, if you look at the bottom right of the screen, the slope is moving ever so slightly to the right hand side, so it's going to kick me right. How much? Who knows? You know, it's like in real golf, you cannot predict these things, okay? So I'm going to aim this about here because of that slope. Now, because there's no wind in this case, now if I aim this 100%, it will be short. So what we're going to do is we're going to club up ever so slightly, and we're going to aim it at the flagstick, and this should be about right. Probably slightly long. Why do you say? Because it was slightly over the flag in the power gauge. I only need it one minuscule, slightly over the flag. And that's basically how you set up your shots. So now I'm going to set up the exact same with wind this time. This will be just normal wind. We're going to just demonstrate 2 holes right here with exactly the same conditions, other than the fact there will be wind this time. So we're going to do exactly the same holes, exactly the same conditions. Set it to high, easy rule settings. Not that one. Go into this. Alright, so this time we're going to have wind in whichever direction. It's not going to be a lot of wind, but I'm going to try and demonstrate how much your shot's going to be affected by the wind. Take into account all the factors. Now, you're probably thinking, hang on a second, that's a lot to consider right there. And it is. You know, you're not going to pick this up over time. You're not going to watch my video and think, oh, I'm going to be a pro at this. You know, it takes time, like anything. Practice makes perfect. Alright, so this time we have a 2, it's alternating, but we've got about a 2 wind in our face. Alright, So if you look at it on the top right hand corner, it is in our face and it's moving slightly to the right. What that means is if the wind is in your face, it is going to make the distance less, depending on the number of factors. Okay, and this is where it gets complicated. If the wind is in your face or at the back and it's downhill, the wind will affect it more. Okay, now this is a 280 yard club, but that does not mean it's going to end up at 278. Why is that? Well, because it's 6.5 yards downhill. Okay, if you look back at the top of the screen, it says 6.5 yards. So downhill is normally about 3/4 of the downhill of what it says. So but that only factors in downhill, not uphill. Uphill is what the distance is. So if this was 6.5 yards uphill, it will affect it 6.5 yards. If it's downhill, it's about 3/4. So it's going to be about 4 yards off. So with the wind in my face, 2 wind in my face, we'll take it to 278. With the wind, with the downhill, it's probably going to. It's a bit difficult to judge with this much distance, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be slightly more because it's more downhill than what the wind is. So I'm going to say it's probably going to be about 277, maybe even more about. Well, it's probably be more like 276, 275 now. It ends up being 280. But you've got to realise as well, there's a lot of rollout on drivers. I mean, a lot of rollout, okay? And I've just realised that I've done the wrong setting. But it doesn't matter. It's a different course, but it still applies, okay? So in this shot, we have got 198 yards to the hole and 199 club with 3 yards downhill. So that's what I'm going to take it to around about, say, 2.5, so that's about 2 or 1.5. Now with the wind in our face, it's probably going to work out around about that. Now you do have a little bit of roll for 4-iron, okay? So first of all, you're thinking, why am I aiming it this far left, okay? A good rule of thumb on each club is that it's 1 box per 1 wind, okay? And if the higher the club, the longer it's going to be in the air, so therefore the more the wind's going to affect it. So if this was a shorter club, let's say 100 yards, it's probably going to be about here. But because I'm using a 4-iron, I'm thinking more here, because it's going to be more double. But I'm thinking the distance is correct because, first of all, downhill and the wind in my face. So we're going to aim this. It is, the lie is pretty much dead straight, so, and it's going to be short because I didn't hit it 100%.
Nice shot.
Now that got a very, very nice kick, did that. And what do I mean by kick? Well, it hit the fairway nice, and managed to get there. Obviously, you will get lucky bounces sometimes. You might work out all your distances. I mean, you could have a lucky bounce or an unlucky bounce. Alright, so we're not gonna do any fancy shots right here. We're just gonna aim this in the middle of the fairway. The wind's not that much, so we're not going to be affected going to the rough. So we're just gonna put this in the middle of the fairway.
Nice shot.
And for the fan demonstration, we're going to aim this shot right here. Okay, so this is a 5-iron, so we're going to it's going to bounce before the hole. Now carry distance will be explained further in a later video. I'm not going to explain that today, but I know that it's going to bounce before the hole. Okay. So it's going to be, so you've got 1.7. Probably going to aim about a 2 wind, because it's not directly crosswind, and you've got like just under 200 yards. It's downhill, so I'm thinking about 98%, talking maybe 179, 184. So I'm going to say about 98, 97% is what we're thinking here. Perfectly didn't let a lie. And as long as it bounces okay. And that got a terrible bounce because it landed in the rough first. But if that didn't land in the rough first, now I'm going to explain that further in a later video. But for now, I'm going to demonstrate one more hole, because that wasn't a very good example. Okay, so this is a par 3, so this is perfect for this hole. Alright, so the other thing is what you can do is if you're in between clubs, you can club down and then use the power, and you can do that. Okay, so this is probably an ideal distance. Okay, so because the winds are going to, this is downhill this time, and it's going to be a 2, it's going to act more like a 3, maybe even a 3.5, because of the fact it's downhill, which means it's going to be in the air longer. Okay, so this is an 8 iron. Now I'm thinking because of the wind in my face and with the downhill, so the downhill is probably going to work out about 3.5 yards, so that's about 40. So it's going to work out more like 52.5, but because of the wind being in my face, it's going to be about this distance. That's what I'm thinking. So once you've lined up, once you feel that you've got a perfect distance, then all you do is you set your power, and here hopefully be about right. And that was long. Now, as it happens, I needed more like 98% on that hole, but you know, you get the gist of things. I'm going to demonstrate one more time on this hole, so let's hit this because it's downhill, so shouldn't get too funky. Just get back shot. Alright, so this is 30 yards, okay, so we've got a slight slope to the right. Now the flag stick is telling me that it's around about 50% because it's at 50% of the 60-yard club, and it's also downhill, but it's all, the wind's also in my face, so it's probably going to be around about 50% anyway. And that was absolutely perfect distance, and that's basically what you do, you know. That's how you aim in everybody's goal. So that's the end of that video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and enjoy. Please tune in for the next one. Thank you and goodbye.